everyone for coming this morning. My name is Melissa Merrill. I'm the chairperson for Union County Public Schools Board of Education. Joining me this morning are Ms. Candace Sturdivant, Gary Sods, and Kathy Heintail, our vice chair. So 4 board members are here with me. Late last week, I was made aware of a series of social media posts on a personal Facebook account by one of our board members, Mr. Travis Kiker. Mr. Kiker emailed me just a few minutes ago his statement, and I will share that with you now. Mr. Kiker says, "It is with a heavy heart that I submit my immediate resignation from the Union County Board of Education. For 1.5 years, I have put the students, families, and faculty of Union County first and foremost. All of our stakeholders have been my priority. In light of recent events, I believe my continued service will serve as a distraction to our key priority, our 42,000 children and 5,400 employees. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my utmost respect and support for all of our teachers. I wish the very best to our board, our staff, and our families." I have just emailed Mr. Kiker back, and I have accepted his resignation. I have forwarded his resignation to Superintendent Dr. Andrew Houlihan, and I have copied the entire board. Today would be an appropriate time to let everyone know about an initiative that I have recommended to Union County Public Schools to address issues of diversity, acceptance, and tolerance for all of our students and staff. Based on feedback we have received over the last month from all of our schools and some of our students, we will be introducing a motion at our 10:30 board meeting to form a Citizens Advisory Committee on Diversity that will be squarely focused on diversity issues within our schools. We want to hear from all of our stakeholders. The makeup of this committee will include rising juniors and seniors in our high schools, community members from each cluster, district administrators and employees, along with our faith-based partners here in Union County. It is probably going to involve some very difficult and sometimes uncomfortable conversations, but that is okay because it will help our school district become a better place as we continue to be one of the best school districts in North Carolina. This will be our opportunity to listen, understand, and for all of us to grow together. I believe this approach will allow us to chart a new course where everyone feels valued and accepted within our schools and throughout the communities that our board serves. We plan to be able to provide more information regarding this committee and the application process in the very near future. We represent nearly 42,000 students and 5,400 employees, as I already mentioned, and we are the largest employer in Union County. And we recognize that they depend on our Board of Education. We are committed to remain steadfast in our #1 purpose in preparing students for their future. At this time, I will take a couple of questions.
Do you mind speaking to the process or what kind of went on since you discovered the post last week for community members who say something should have happened immediately, we shouldn't have had to wait until his resignation today?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure.
I hear you with the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you speak to what has gone on maybe behind the scenes since discovering these social media posts for community members
Absolutely.
who are concerned that something should have been done immediately?
So we had 13 high school graduations last week for 3,400 of our seniors. And that was an amazing time, and all of our board members were very busy attending those graduations, including myself. But on Thursday, our board, just before noon, was notified that central office was receiving emails and phone calls, and the board at that time took a look at Mr. Kiker's account, and each one of us determined that they were insensitive and inappropriate. And so that was Thursday, but again, we had to attend graduations. But I immediately, after having a conversation with Dr. Houlihan, the next phone call I made was obviously to our vice chair. And I was also in the process of setting the agenda for a policy committee meeting tomorrow and our board meeting today at 10:30. So I had the opportunity to communicate with my our general counsel, Michelle Morris, to get her feedback. And after speaking and consulting with her, we agreed that I would get in touch with our outside counsel that we have worked with in previous circumstances when we needed outside counsel. And we continued Thursday to attend graduations. Friday, we concluded graduations. That brought us to probably about 10 o'clock at night, and at about 10 o'clock at night, I was beginning conversations with our outside counsel that we had got in contact to. And then I had to have some very difficult conversations with Mr. Kiker to get his side of the story. And board members were calling and emailing, so I needed to spend time with the board. And then I needed to spend, I spent all day Saturday and all day Sunday with our vice chair and Dean Shapley. And again, spent time with Mr. Kiker, trying to understand, where he was coming from and what his thoughts were, trying to touch base with other board members, what their thoughts were, and prepared a statement to be here today.
Question about the social media posts specifically. Were these posts made on Facebook, Twitter? Where were they located that there was a cause of concern?
So when I got the phone call before lunch on Thursday, it was brought to my attention these were, there was a video and memes on his personal Facebook account. I'm not aware of any other accounts.
Would you be able to just take a look and confirm if these are the posts that you're talking about with a social distance, if someone could?
We can take a look at that after.
Okay. But I guess kind of
and we will make them available after the meeting, but I would have assumed you all saw them before you arrived today.
Right, just want to make sure that it's the correct post. Mm-hmm. In previous years, have you ever had to deal with a situation like this where a board member has had to step down because of something that they post or express on social media?
In 2017, we had another board member in a similar situation, but did not step down. So if your question is, have we had this situation and someone stepped down? No.
When that previous situation happened, and also looking towards policies, is there any policy in place that says explicitly how board members should behave on their personal social media accounts, given their situation of a leader in the district?
We have a code of ethics that each one of us go to Raleigh to take when we become elected officials to represent the citizens of Union County, and we are held to a higher standard, and we're here today. Okay, so there's one thing that has not been addressed today is how we are going to address this vacancy on our board. And to discuss that policy and process, I will ask our Vice Chair, Ms. Kathy Heintel, to speak.
Good morning. When we have a vacancy in the board, we're a partisan board since the elections in 2018. Mr. Kiker was elected in 2018, so if there's a policy 2021-1, which is on our website, UCPS. If the if the member that resigned was elected after 2018 as a nominee of a political party, the board shall consult the county executive committee of the appropriate political party before filling the vacancy, and shall appoint the person recommended by the county executive committee if a recommendation is made within 30 days. The person appointed to this vacancy pursuant to the process shall serve until the next election of the board is held. So that gives you an idea of what is going to happen in the next month or so with respect to the vacant.
One other question moving forward, if I may, about just kind of the process of recent social injustices. Are there any policies that the board's looking at for the district, specifically when it comes to school names or naming mascots, things of that sort?
At our 10:30 meeting today, we are going to introduce the Citizens Advisory Committee, and the board will discuss, you know, the different community members that we want to bring to that committee. And as the chair of policy, I will tell you regarding mascots, we do have an existing policy on naming of facilities, but we are going to discuss a potential new policy tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at the policy committee regarding mascots.
And is that moving forward, or would that also address mascots that are already set to schools? Would there be like, I guess?
It will be a policy to address all mascots in Union County Public Schools.
How long has this diversity citizens committee been in the works? Is this something you guys have been talking about for quite some time, or has developed recently?
For quite some time, because over the last month, as I mentioned earlier, we have been made aware that there are groups of students in the Weddington cluster, the Marvin cluster, and the Porter Ridge cluster. There could be other groups that we are unaware of, but we have heard from those clusters in Union County Public Schools that they were already having discussions about how they felt treated in our schools. So when I began hearing that type of feedback, that's when I thought it'd be a good idea to form the Citizens Advisory Committee on Diversity.
And when you said
To bring everyone together so that different clusters are not working in silos.
And did you mean discussions about racial insensitivities in school, or were they having diversity discussions?
They were having diversity discussions and their experience in their schools,
Okay.
in Weddington, Marvin Ridge, and Porter Ridge.
Okay.
So when I started seeing those type of emails, I even received an email from a 7th grader that had an idea about a month ago that she would like to do diversity videos, and I shared that with Dr. Houlihan. And so that is also a student that stood out in my memory when I thought about this.
Moving forward, just the situation we're at today, obviously having to announce the resignation of a board member, what can you say to not only fellow board members, but other district leaders or district employees about their behavior and kind of the times that we're in right now moving forward, making decisions that could lead to something like this?
So we have policy in place for our students and employees, and I believe that as an elected official, I said it earlier and I'll say it again, we are held to a higher standard. We are the voice for approximately 250,000 citizens here in Union County, 42,000 students, and 5,400 employees. And as elected officials to serve this great county, we need to be the voice for everyone, and we need to be considerate of the people we represent.
Any other questions? We got time for a couple more questions and that'll be it. Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here today.